Hello, we're going to do a quick little video. I know we have a football game going on, so for you Bills and Ravens fans, I apologize. This really was not something I anticipated, but I would say this weekend, without exception, has been probably one of the most volatile weekends as far as correspondences, emails, direct messages, interactions on social media. And I really wanted to cover a few things without having, to be perfectly honest with you, without having to type out, a whole bunch of messages. I figured this was the best way because if it's coming from this many people, it can't just be a random thing. And so I figured there would be parents and or athletes that would have similar questions or want to have similar discussions. So I figured I'd do this today. Having a snowstorm here, as much of the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic area is. It is wintertime. I was shoveling, so I apologize. I don't have my blue baseball blue book typical gear, so I apologize in advance. And so, as many of you know, I don't have a teleprompter. I don't have a fancy kind of setup. I do this pretty much off the cuff, and I speak from the heart, from a parent perspective and an educated opinion. I want to stress this because I certainly do not pretend to have every answer as it pertains to college baseball, high school baseball. I have opinions, several of which I will be expressing this evening. Some of them will not be received well, and I understand that, And at the end of the day, if 100 people are listening, 49 people want to tell me to go take a hike, 51 tell me I think I agree with you. Okay, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for praise or a validation or acceptance. It's more along the lines of wanting to make sure that I help those that request help. So on that topic, I want to begin with a lot of parents have been reaching out to me lately. Is it normal for my athlete, my son, to be receiving direct messages or contact from recruiting companies, recruiters, what have you? Um, and this seems to be a methodology that seems to be in vogue due to social media. I'm going to really hit this one and kind of just share what I think and then move on to the really what I consider to be the most important question. Um, the answer to the questions that have been coming up is I don't agree with that. And I want to be very careful. This isn't an anti-recruiting agency, an anti-recruiter. I disagree vehemently with anybody who reaches out to a student athlete, because I think that's unprofessional to reach out to a teenager, especially in today's world. I think if there's a parent that reaches out to a business owner, that's a whole different ball game. But my opinion is for adults, especially older adults that have common sense and more importantly, common courtesy, I would not want to be reaching out to 15 to 17-year-olds and trying to lure them in and then have the athletes or teenagers then apply, pressure or, some sort of, hey, can we work with these guys, mom or dad? It's really, I think, unprofessional. I do not agree with it. I That kind of brings me to my bigger point and why I wanted to have this evening. Um, Along the lines of the direct messages to the children, I really want to convey to parents, and I've said this before, and I think it really needs to be stressed. And I'm going to I saw someone today that pointed me in the direction of Zach Blair. Zach is on Twitter. He's on social media. He's a former professional athlete. And I happen to agree with this sentiment. And when I get asked by parents about the college recruiting process, the first thing that I say to every family and every athlete is, one, the recruiting process for Jimmy and the recruiting process for you are two different processes. No process is identical. Never, ever can they be identical. There cannot be, well, this guy plays this position, he has these metrics, and he's going to this school, and you're as good or you're better, what have you. College recruiting is an individual process. It is an athlete's process. It is a family process. No two resemble each other. No two are the same. And parents need to come down a notch. You cannot see the world or pretend to see the world through a college coach's lens. College coaches are evaluators, whether they are right or wrong. If they evaluate 10 athletes, they fully anticipate, they hope to be 50% right. And maybe sometimes they hope to be 60% right. But there's a built-in kind of sometimes we get it wrong mindset. There is no college coach in existence that doesn't admit, or professional scout that doesn't admit, we might not have gotten that one right. So that's the biggest thing. You cannot compare recruiting processes. And the biggest item I would like to discuss, the question that I am being asked repeatedly from the vast majority of 2026 parents is, on social media, I'm seeing this guy commits to this school or that position is committing to that school. And I really want to stress to parents, and I want to be as emphatic and as polite as possible. There is nothing. And when I say the word nothing, I am emphasizing in capital letters, nothing that is the same at any point in any time with college baseball recruiting. It is a whole different world. And anybody that tells you anything different is lying to you. If we just take statistics that you can go Google or Chat GPT or Grok or whatever we want to use, the high school graduating class of 2025, maybe 2% of those high school participants that are graduating will find their way to NCAA Division I. Let's be kind and say it's 5%, and that is really high. That's excessive. 2%. Let's call it 750 to 1,000 players that will go on to play NCAA Division I. And that is really predicated on numbers from the last several years. In today's world, and I'm talking specifically to the 2026, 2027, and 2028. With all of these rule changes that have yet to be finalized, by the way, it is so fluid. There are things changing, and everybody wants to be the first, and everybody wants to be accurate and correct, and they want to get information out there. Here's the deal. April of 2025, that'll come. There'll be decisions made, and then there'll be litigants that will line up and stress test the new system. But as it relates to college baseball collectively, Division I, Division II, Division III, I'm talking NCAA, as well as JUCO, and as well as NAIA, Division I and II. Position players from this point forward, really it's been for the last year or two, but from this day forward, If you are a position player in high school, your path to college has changed. It has changed. Nobody's doing it on purpose. At some point, we have to accept, we have to pivot, and we have to prepare. If you are a position player, your pathway to college has gotten a lot harder. There is no such thing as a linear path for a high school position athlete from high school to college, high school to junior college, high school to NAIA, high school to NCAA, Division One, two, or three. Those days are gone. Everybody's pathway is unique. It is different. That is why I do what I do. That is why when I'm working with parents, I try to get them to understand there's going to be days that you hate me, hate the process, like the process. The days of your student athlete has good days, great days, bad days, average days. It is a process that is an individual process. It is a collective. There are many components, but it is a collective process with regards to opportunity, academics, geographics, also, participation. And so the college recruiting process every single day is being talked about and discussed. I know I do it quite a bit. But Zach Blair touched on a topic today that I really want to make sure that we stress. How about you focus on your high school season first? Your high school season first. Be an active participant. Be a member of the varsity, or in some cases, junior varsity if you're a freshman or a sophomore, 28, 29, et cetera, 27. It's okay in parts of Florida, in parts of California, Texas, Louisiana. Now it's snowing here. It doesn't feel like high school baseball, but I know starting next week, high school baseball, JUCO baseball, college baseball is going to kick off. But if you're a sophomore in high school, a freshman, sophomore, you should have no thoughts on college recruiting or college exposure. That should be the least of your worries. And what you should be focused on is becoming the best version of yourself as a potential future college athlete, meaning good grades, your body, your strength, your speed, your skill set development. When you're a junior, in today's world, you don't need to really worry about college recruiting, because college recruiting is really, from a position player perspective, is really about the portal, about the JUCO graduates, about post grads, and then high school. Facts, they're not going to change. It's not going to go back. Your high school athlete, for the most part, is not going to go from high school to Division One in play. All it takes, go on to Pro Radar, go on to your favorite team's website, punch in the roster, look at the years of graduation, and see how many at-bats or how many innings freshman athletes are getting. This is why the portal is such a big deal. So, question: when should my athlete as a 2026 begin to panic, worry about college recruiting? Answer: don't worry about it until next summer, late next summer. Begin to navigate the process. Have, touch a lot of these schools. When I say touch, do some research on some of the NAIA, some of the Division III, some of the Division II, JUCO opportunities. There's a lot of bad information out there. Like, you're not going to be able to go to junior college, play for 2 or 3 years, and then roll into the NCAA at any level and play another 4 years and be 27 and get your master's. It's not going to happen. Will things like 5 years happen? Yes. My point of having this call is everybody's process is different. It's unique. It's individual. I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole and just say travel baseball as a collective whole, not all, I want to stress that, not all, but the narrative is that they're a one-stop shop. You come, you play travel ball, you work out with us for 34 weeks. You do it as a 9-year-old, you pay us $4,000. 10-year-old, you pay us $4,000, all the way up till we're 17 when you're paying us about $7,000 to $8,000, 10 when you start to include travel expenses. And you're supposed to, for your investment since 9, end up on a college roster. It's not happening for the vast majority of athletes that leave high school. If you're not taking care of your process as an individual, not looking to your right, not looking to your left, not looking on social media, not worried about, can't tell you how many parents are making bad decisions chasing schools based on, this is a Division I school. My son likes this school. My son likes that school. Great. But if you're not hearing from those coaches, and they're not personally within the window of contact, meaning August 1st of your rising junior fall, and they're not asking you personally, requesting via text, phone call, email, snail mail, for you to physically show up at camp to be able to see the campus, meet the staff, participate in a camp, then the odds of you going to that school as a position player, hear me loud and clear, as a position player are slim. They're very, very slim. Division III schools have 22 and 23-year-old players. Division II schools, just talked to Chris Shank from Southern New Hampshire, one of the College World Series Division II in Cary, North Carolina participants. His middle infielders, NCAA Division II, are 24 years old. We need to put our thinking caps on. We need to stop stressing. The road to college athletics it's unpredictable, and it's not promised. It's not a rite of passage because you've played travel baseball and then you went and played high school, and you might have been really good in high school, but playing college is a different level. Different level. Put my glasses on. Aaron, you are correct. NCAA Division II, all athletics, and not just baseball, is, Division II and Division III are going to also have to make amendments, changes. And so one of the changes at the Division II level, which I posted, had to do with if you play less than 30% your freshman year, really, I believe it's any year, your freshman, sophomore year, you are eligible. I think it's particularly pertains to your freshman year, but you are eligible for an additional year, that redshirt year. And so the whole purpose of the 5th year at the NCAA is to kind of get out from underneath all this future litigation about I went to JUCO and I didn't know there was going to be name, image, and likeness, and you're limiting my opportunities for employment or earnings opportunities. They're just going to basically wave the white flag and say, okay, we're going to give everybody 5 years. That'll allow you to go 2 at JUCO, 3 at an NCAA school. I don't think the NAIA is involved in that as of yet, but that's the situation. We as parents, and I speak as a parent, having lived this, and I understand my process was very different than today's process. I get that, but I never tried to make, and I was a baseball coach, and there were times that I struggled between being dad and being a baseball coach, and in some cases I failed miserably. I think both my boys would attest to that, but I never tried to make it easy for my boys. In fact, one could say that I tried to make it exceedingly difficult for my youngest because he was heck bent on wanting to play at the highest levels. And so I would, kind of put him in situations where it was like a litmus test for him. He would kind of be able to gauge where he was at, where the areas of weakness were, what he needed to work on. He got cut one time from Team USA, and you have the choice. You can whine and moan and quit and pout, and we can agree to disagree that you didn't deserve it, or you can work your rear end off and get better and then come back next year and use that as motivation. We try to make things too perfect. We try to script a childhood. There is no scripting in youth athletics, regardless of how many people want to tell you the road is better over here. And starting at a young age is going to develop you better, make you more competitive, make you better prepared. That's a story for another day. I think that's all BS. In fact, I'll come right out and tell you, youth baseball starting at 6 years old, organized youth baseball at 6 years old through like 13 or 14 is dog shit. It's dog shit. And some of these national organizations that fly 12-year-olders all over the country, and it gives you a false sense of, oh, my son is really good. And then the athletes, I'm really, really good. And this is the way it's always going to be. Well, here's a news flash. It's not going to be that way. It's not going to be that way. College coaches now have a much smaller, tighter window. There's going to be a fall evaluation period at college level, and then there's going to be a final roster for the spring. And then every year that portal is going to fill up. College coaches are going to go out through the summer collegiate summer leagues. They're going to evaluate and recruit out of the portal, and then they're going to fill in wherever they think they might need to fill in with JUCO graduates, some postgraduate high school guys. But if you're not preparing for your high school, but you think you're preparing to be a college graduate, you're missing a big gap. You're missing a huge gap. That's a window of learning that you're kind of pole vaulting on, and you're going to lose in the end. We're focused so much on, I don't need high school. I have travel ball. Travel ball will figure this all out for me. And you got travel ball organizations, some travel ball organization. Your high school team sucks. You don't need that high school. Come to our new baseball academy. We have great facilities, great amenities. You take a couple of online classes and you get better in baseball. And I see parents out there, the IMG model and this model, it's all the wave of the future. It's where you got to go. It's a simulate, very similar to Latin countries, which is my next topic in question. IMG and all these other baseball academies are not like Latin countries as far as baseball schools for development. IMG has maybe 10 varsity baseball teams, 10 varsity teams, the prospect team, a committed team. Is this really how we're going to deal with all this going forward? Is we're going to try to buy our way into getting our sons opportunities? I disagree with that. When I talk to parents that are heck bent on creating a path for their children, that turns me off. If you're a parent and you want to prepare and you want to have a plan, that's much different than trying to be, as some people refer to it, the snowplow, and trying to kind of create this land of opportunity, this runway of opportunity. It just doesn't exist. We'll end on this as far as the topic is concerned. College recruiting now is nothing like it's ever been. It's not going back. It's not going to return to the high school opportunities from high school to college, and the opportunities to play does not happen as a position player. Talk to JUCO coaches, talk to Division II coaches, not just Chris Shank. I talk to coaches all over the country, Florida, Louisiana, California. I talk to them in the Pacific Northwest. I talk to them in Arizona. I talk to NAIA coaches. They're looking for plug-and-play players. And I coined that phrase 4 years ago, plug-and-play players. Plug-and-play is what college coaches are looking for when it comes to position players. There are exceptions. We talked to Scotty Jackson. He had a freshman catch. UNC had a freshman catcher last year. Those, they do happen. But again, it's a small percentage. So, parents, you need to prepare, you need to plan, and you need to create options. Options with, we used to call them safety nets, various pathways that will allow your student athlete the opportunity to go to college, have those 4 or 5 years as if we stop thinking of this, in my opinion, if we as parents stop thinking of this as a transactional experience and begin to look at it as a transitional experience for our children, meaning I'm not going to pay my way onto this travel team because this guy's telling me 50 guys over the last 10 years have gone Division I out of our program. I'm not going to pay this guy $10,000 because the ground that he walks on is a big presence on social media. It's bogus. It's bogus. You can't pay your way. It's not a transactional based opportunity. College coaches don't care. If you can produce and you can play and you can execute, you'll get between the lines. If you're strong enough, fast enough, skilled enough, you'll get between the lines. But college is a transitional time period to go from a teenager, the end of childhood, to the beginning of adulthood. And baseball, athletics are a part of the collective experience. Next, pitchers. If you're a parent of a pitcher, and I get this question all year long, and now I know that Matt Tabor and Tyler, my son Tyler Beede, they do a lot of work now in Greater Houston, and we talk a lot about pitching. And we talk about things like progression. But again, parents that are thinking of their 2026 and 2027 athletes from a college recruiting, a college exposure opportunity are missing the boat. You have to execute today. You have to be in your spikes on that, on the mound, on the clay, and you have to be executing pitches. You have to be competing against lineups. Nobody cares about your velocity. Nobody cares about your metrics. What they compare, they really want to see you a team, guy that keeps his team in contention for 7 or 9 innings, prepares properly, has a respect and a genuine care for the teammates behind him, works well with the catcher, gets outs, attacks hitters, has a good heartbeat, doesn't go off the rails when the teammate makes an error behind him. Let college coaches see your athletes when they are ready to be seen. As a pitcher, coaches now more than ever have access to technology, Yacker Tech. They have TrackMan. They have Rapsodo. They look at numbers. They can go in. They can collect video. Coaches know how to find your son. There's a network of people that they trust all across the country. And I promise you, if your son is a college caliber pitcher, coaches are going to know. Pitching is the one variable that will allow a pathway from high school to college, not just directly to Division I, but to college. And what you do with that opportunity, how prepared you are, but most importantly, how healthy you are, is going to determine the level that you end up participating at. College baseball, when you're on the mound, no matter how good your high school league is, top to bottom, I promise you, the worst 9-hole hitter that is in a lineup for a college team is really good. I've seen 9-hole hitters at the lowest levels of college baseball, NCAA Division III, of which Becker College, which is no longer in existence. We used to have guys at Becker College throwing 92, 93, and 9-hole hitters from Riviera and Daniel Webster. They'd be taking guys 400 feet. So whole purpose of this is I think that parents are getting stressed, and I understand it's like a rug pull. You feel like the rug is being pulled out from underneath your student athlete. I completely understand how you feel. But to be frantic and to be stressed out and trying to jump from camp to camp and looking for somebody to say, I love your son, I love your son. College coaches, they're playing the long game. They're going to identify, follow. They can be patient because of the supply far exceeds the demand. Think of how many athletes are in the portal. Think about how many roster spots are available and how many high school graduates, how many post-grad graduates. There is no such thing as one strategy, one pathway. You can't just follow other people. You have to be independent. You have to be a leader of your own student athletes period of time that they are looking to spend in college. I cannot stress this enough. And I this video, people will be able to see it, people will be able to watch it. I can't stress this enough. You should have a one-on-one evaluation and a discussion you should hear as family, as parents, and as a student athlete. You know, there are athletes that are being told, I'm going to go to JUCO and then I'm going to play at the Power 4 level. Possible, not probable. You cannot prescript, you cannot predetermine. You can have the best intentions, you can have a really good skill set, but by the time you get out of your 2 or 3 years of JUCO, who's to say Division I baseball hasn't adopted another change? Who's to say it's now more profitable for athletes to bypass the draft and stay in college? You make more money. Who wants to sign as a 11th round draft pick as a junior or senior in college when you can make 50 to a couple $100,000 a year? And oh, by the way, the college life is sweet. You travel, beautiful buses, you have hotels. Minor league baseball, it's a chain link fence and a bucket of bubble gum, and you might get, 20,000 as a signing bonus, and there's nobody there. College baseball, at least you have some fans and you have some support from the university, from the student body and faculty. My point to you is simply this. Childhood, teenagers is a very turbulent time. And people, not all, but there are some people and some entities that will pounce on parents that are scared. Once they are told what they want to hear, they begin, it's like the Pied Piper. Once that music starts to play, you have a difficult time turning away from it. You're kind of going to the light. But I can just promise you that if your son has tools and has physicality, skill set, there will be a time period, there will be an opportunity for them to find a home. And again, it's not transactional, it's transitional. It's imperative for families to understand this. And if we spend more time talking and discussing development and opportunities as far as pathways, game plans, physical assessment, movement screens, areas of weakness, skill set deficiency, and we try to focus our time and resources on that, it will pay a dividend when the time comes for the opportunity for your student athlete to make their way to college. But as of 2026, your time is probably going to be next summer. It's been like this for a long time at some of the higher level academic schools, the Ivies, the Patriot League, the NESCAT. They always waited to be able to do the pre-reads. And now it's going to be like that for basically all of college athletics, including JUCO. I want to stress again, how you can prepare for this is go watch a college practice, go watch a college game. I think the best version of the sport is college. This has nothing to do minor league, major league. I think college is more touchable. It's more accessible for younger children, for them to dream, to feel a part, whether it's in their geographical area. The athletes are more accessible after a game. They get to touch them. They get to shake their hand. And that's really what this whole thing is about. is a dream begins when that 9-year-old or 10-year-old goes to watch Endicott, Salve Regina, Southern New Hampshire, Boston College, Yukon, Central Connecticut, etc. And you go to that game, some cases it's free, some cases a few bucks. They have popcorn, they have bottles of water, soda, etc. You watch good baseball. Then you can say to yourself, did my son have that skill? Heck, go to Northern Essex, go to Quinsigamond, go to CCRI, go to some of these, JUCO schools in the area. Go to Ryder, go to, anywhere in New Jersey, go throughout the Mid-Atlantic, go to a JUCO game. Is my son that good? Is he as talented as that guy? And then you begin to kind of navigate from there, but at least you have an understanding of what it looks like. Travel baseball is in no way, shape, or form indicative of college baseball, not even a little bit. On occasion, you might get, if you're the last 8 teams in Jupiter or maybe Fort Myers, maybe your pitchers are going toe to toe, maybe an area code game, maybe a PBR, futures event might have a few guys. But for the most part, travel baseball, not even close to college baseball, not even by a little bit. It's not remotely the same. And the only way to determine that with your own eyes, and in some cases ears, is to go to a practice, or more importantly, go to some games. I'm going to be promoting it like heck on the Blue Book Game of the Week, Series of the Weekend. A lot of really good baseball at the college level, top to bottom. If you're in the Cumberland, Kentucky area, the Reinhardt or Knoxville, go see Johnson play Cumberland. Well, I'm going to be down there for that. Go watch Johnson University play Cumberland University. Get back to me and tell me that those guys couldn't play Division I baseball, because there's a lot of guys that either played Division I or aspire to play at Division I, and they're going to NAIA in hopes of being able to build a resume. Let's see. Troy, thank you for joining me. And folks, I want to make sure I also, I know I'm getting a lot of messages, and I apologize. This is a Division II coach that's watching right now. I apologize. My point of doing this is, parents, just take a deep breath. Really take a deep breath. The other part of this is, I really want you to know the biggest adversaries of baseball with regard to Little League, Babe Ruth, American Legion, and in some cases, high school. When I have a travel coach say to me, I have a son and, it's bad baseball. Little League is just bad baseball. So anything is better than that baseball. Little League this or Little League that. Okay, well, you're paraphrasing. You're trying to tell me that because you're a Little League, but are you doing anything to help it? Are you doing anything to, restore it? Are you doing anything to make it better? If we as a community do not begin to look for solutions, we're just all hot air. And I want to also say to USA Baseball should really begin to look in the mirror. And USA Hockey, USA Soccer, but we can't get USA Baseball. We're worried about NTIS. NTIS, what is that doing? That's identifying? USA Baseball should step in and start to be the overseer for youth baseball in this country. Canada does a phenomenal job with their youth baseball as a country. They communicate. They kind of have an entity. And they are doing really good things. USA Baseball needs to step up and become the voice, the overseer of youth baseball. We need to bring and put some guardrails up here so parents are not thinking it's normal to have to pay $4,000 to $8,000 every year in order for their children to get better at a sport that's simply part of a childhood that 95% will not ever play at the high levels of college baseball. 90% are not playing college athletics at all. 95, really, it's closer to 98, are never going to play at that Division I level. But because we're being fed all of this really at 6 years old about being more competitive, more, you're going to be better. You're going to be taught better. Our instructors are better. Says who? The point of this is, parents, it's a sport. It's a childhood. We can't make it easy for kids. Baseball is good at problem solving, compromise, getting back in the box after getting knocked down, after falling. Yesterday, there's nothing I can do for tomorrow other than make my today the best that it can be. I can't do anything about yesterday. I can't do anything about these rule changes. I can't go back. I can be where I am today. I can be better today in hopes of making myself better for tomorrow to prepare to play in college. The only people that control that is you as a family and as a student athlete. Have a plan. Don't be afraid of hearing the truth. Get an evaluation. Take action steps with your plan. Enjoy. Here's a novel concept. Let's enjoy childhood. Let's enjoy our teenage years before they're gone and you're graduating and then you're off to college and then that's it. Enjoy this time period. Don't wish it away. Don't worry about the destination. The destination is going to be there if you have the skill, the size, the strength, and the speed, and the grades, which is the school. So I thank you again. There are so many parents that are coming to the finalization that this is a really new process. They don't know who to trust, who to turn to. The Blue Book is providing an abundance of free information. Free information. This is why we do this. This is why we talk to parents. So you have an alternative voice. So you don't have to pay $10,000 for college, whatever. I don't even know what it is you're going to get for $10,000. And oh, by the way, when you are putting things on social media, always remember, when you're tagging 1 million people, beware of who you're tagging, because then it's association, guilt by association. So really start to know what you're doing, because there's exposure and there's exposed, and you do not want to be in the latter category. I promise you. So this upcoming week, we're going to be talking to University of Nevada. We're going to be talking to USC. Going to be talking to Rick Odette down at Florida Southern Division II school. Going to mix in some Division III schools as well as some NAIA schools. Going to revisit with Coach Johnson and a few other coaches, Victor Rojas, a few others, because I really want to keep this to be a well-rounded, so parents are getting this information. You're hearing from NAIA, you're hearing from JUCO, hearing from Division II, Division III, and obviously Division I. It's baseball season. Keep your eye on the prize, which is today. Don't worry about 3 weeks from now. You're not trying to prove anything to anybody else other than yourself. You're not trying to prove that you were as good as you wanted that coach or that recruiter to think. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Coaches change every year. Programs change every year. You just need to be prepared so when the opportunity presents itself, that you're ready to kick the door down. Don't get to your moment and wonder, I wish I would have prepared for this because I think I'm good enough. Don't think you're good enough. Know you're good enough based on your plan. Want to encourage everybody. I would love for you to engage with the YouTube video. If you're watching this on Twitter, can you please do me a favor? Go over to YouTube, Coach Beede, hit subscribe. You think I'm full of poop, you can comment, you can engage with the video, believe it or not, good, bad, or indifferent. It all helps the channel grow. I'm really trying to be able to, this upcoming year, go to different ballparks all over the country for college, Legion, and high school games. Want to promote the sport, want to promote college baseball, all levels. I want to share with you who these coaches are. They're people, they're parents. They have hearts, they have minds. They're not the evil empire that some people want to say that they are. So we're going to shed some light on that, and we're going to spend some time in the dugouts all across the country. If you'd like me to come to one of your games, let me know. Let us know. Go on to Blue Book, create a profile. Let us know where you play and that you'd like to have me come out and sit in the dugout pregame, postgame, and kind of share some insights about your program to others across the country. I hope your team does well in football if they're still playing. 2 more weeks, Super Bowl, and it's officially my favorite time of year, my favorite holiday, my favorite season. You know, we have fall, we have winter, we have summer, but spring, baseball season, it's a holiday. It's a special season for me. I hope you would enjoy today's video, and I look forward to seeing you all on Thursday night.